Ian, at this very moment, we are getting or having a butt whooping of a game with these Hornets of ours, but that's not going to be the main topic today. What you think?
Yeah, the Hornets were officially on the Hornet season. Now the football season's wrapping up. As the time where we're recording this podcast, it's, conference championship weekend and the Panthers are not in it. So it's officially on to Hornet season for us. And it's pretty miserable right now. Not looking too optimistic, especially with how this game started off tonight.
It's a complete 180 or maybe a 360 at that, going from Panthers to these Hornets this year. We're talking about a 28 to 8 score right now.
Yeah, that's not going to cut it.
Pitiful. Not going to cut it. Well, Buzzbound, thank you for joining us today. Ian, you ready to get going, man?
I'm ready, man.
All right, let's do it.
Touchdown, Carolina! You're listening to the Buzz Pound. Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime. A Queen City sports podcast covering your Charlotte Hornets and Carolina Panthers. Halliburton, nowhere to go! LaMelo's done it! LaMelo's done it! Hornets win! Here comes LaMelo. Here are your hosts, Ian Blair and Cam Gardner.
Buzzbound, thank you for joining us for season 2, episode 12. Ian, you want to start with these Panthers first before we move on to these sorry Hornets of ours?
Yeah, man. Let's talk about the Panthers.
Well, like Ian said, to start it off, we are currently in our off season officially. Panthers are no longer in the playoffs, no conference championships or anything, so we're officially done. But we're looking at the next, turning the page to the next season. Overall, we talked last week about the season. Ended on a better note compared to the last 3 seasons, I would say. Um, Dan Morgan came out, did his end of season presser, which, you know, wasn't terrible. Had a lot more positivity to speak on this year. What you think about it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. He came out and talked about, needing to add a kind of offensive weapon, game changer that could break tackles and things like that. But I mean, it goes back to, I mean, we have a young team, and we need to have a good free agency to add pieces, kind of some missing links that we were missing this year. And we're not as bad of a roster as we were in the previous couple of years. I think we've got a lot of good pieces to build around, and I think it's important just to add a couple pieces in the offseason through the draft and obviously through free agency as well. But it's gonna be interesting to see what we do. I mean, we're sitting at the 19th pick in the first round, and we have a little bit of cap space. So hopefully we could go out and make a move in free agency, maybe trades. I've seen some rumors out there for the Panthers. I saw a rumor today that we were supposed to sign or projected to sign Trey Hendrickson, the pass rusher from the Bengals, who's a free agent, which I think would help our defense tremendously. He's one of the best pass rushers in the league past couple of years. And then obviously adding a weapon like Dan Morgan talked about on offense, kind of somebody that can break tackles and, turn a 5-yard gain into a touchdown. Um, which would be interesting because I don't know what that looks like for our team right now, especially because when I think of players like that, I think of, Debo Samuel, guys like that. Laviska Shenault, diehard Panthers fans will remember him from a couple years ago. I think he was supposed to be that, but he never really worked out in the league. But it's an interesting offseason for sure, and I'm looking forward to see what we do.
Yeah, same here. And I know one big thing that I really appreciated from Dan Morgan in that presser was he talked about the chills that he felt in that, wild card game. He was there back in the 03-04 playoffs, when we went to the Super Bowl for the first time against the Patriots that year. So he knows that experience in the bank. I mean, if there's anyone that could talk about it in that house, it's him. Um, and just hearing him talk about the emotion that came with it, not only just the players, but he himself, who actually experienced it years ago, the first time ever. I feel like that's huge. honestly, for us. As far as expectation, he talked about now the team has expectation to win. Like it's no question or anything, especially with the season we just had, made it to, the playoffs, even though it wasn't the most pretty way of getting there. We had to depend on another team just to enter, but it just it gives us that momentum that we need. And another thing was, like you said, the roster. I mean, there's a lot to be done. Um, he mentioned things we need, not just to draft, but off-season signings. There's going to be a few options out there, and I'm not sure what that may look like. Honestly, in my personal opinion, times I thought we need a certain position, whether it's the draft or off-season signings. They end up getting the complete opposite of what I expected them to do, but sometimes it works for the better. Like last draft, I mean, we got Tet, which in that moment I wasn't really sure if we needed another receiver, but clearly that benefited us in the long run. And said it won't be a wholesale change, but he believes the foundation is there, but there are weaknesses to attack, like that wide receiver depth and O-line stability. And I think those are key positions that we need to focus on personally. And Bryce Young, obviously he announced that they intend to pick up his fifth year option, signaling they are fully committed to him as the franchise quarterback heading into 2026, which I mean makes sense at this point. But yeah, man, thought it was a good presser overall. Best one since, he's been on board. It's been a rough past few seasons, but this one actually doesn't feel as bad going into the off season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it helps going to the playoffs and having that atmosphere that we did in the bank. I think overall it just helped a lot. It's not it's a good season overall. We came out of the season with something instead of nothing. And obviously we improved significantly than we did last year. We kind of have been moving in the right direction. And this is when it gets really hard as a team. It gets really hard to move from 8 wins where we're sitting higher, because whenever you move higher than 8 wins, you're one of the best teams in the league. And I don't think we're there yet. I think it's going to take a couple years, but hopefully we could have around the 8, 9, 10, even 10 win mark next year. And obviously we'll dive into some draft prospects in the next couple weeks and things like that. But it's going to be interesting to see what we do this offseason. I think it's really important to and really lay the foundation for the next few years. And we're moving in the right direction. We have been for the past 3 years, really. I mean, we went from 2 wins, given the Bears our first overall pick, and then 5 wins, and now we're at 8 wins. So we're moving in the right direction. Um, we just need to keep going.
Yeah, there's finally some light in the distance. We're not quite there yet, but we could see the potential. Um, Another thing, you and I texted about it that occurred maybe about mid to later last week after we recorded last week's episode, but defensive coordinator EJ Ivaro, he has been requested for some interviews. The Steelers requested to interview him for their head coaching position, and also as of yesterday, Ivaro completed a second interview with the Las Vegas Raiders. He's officially a finalist for their head coaching vacancy. So, depending on how that goes, could be losing him. Not sure yet, but what are your thoughts overall on his interview opportunities?
Yeah, good for him. I don't know how he's getting those interviews really with how the defense have played. I mean, obviously when he was with the Broncos, he had a really good defense. They had some really good pieces. And then these past couple of years, kind of been rough. I mean, last year we had the worst defense in NFL history under him. Statistically, we were the worst defense in the leagues since it's been around. This year, obviously, played well. I think Derek Brown being back helped quite a bit, but goes back to that last drive against the Rams in the playoffs. They diced us up right down the field. I believe we scored that touchdown, Jalen Coker, and then they marched right down the field and scored very quickly. and gave us really no time to get to do anything on offense. So I wouldn't be really that upset with losing Avaro. I wouldn't be, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me. But I'm good for him for getting the interviews. Um, and I would like, a defense. We played heavy zone last year. I mean, it really hurt us on that last drive. We were playing 5, 10 yards off the ball and giving Matt Stafford whatever easy early throw he wanted. And I think it hurt us a lot. We've had moments, Mike Jackson had a really breakout year this year. J.C. Horn played really well. Derek Brown obviously played really well, but I think we could do better at defensive coordinator if I'm being honest. Just because of last year, the stats last year were just horrendous. And in my opinion, he's regressed from his time in Denver, honestly, since he's been with the Panthers. Not to say we didn't have a good defense last year because or this pre you know this previous year because I thought we did, but I think it could have been better, honestly, especially that last drive in the playoffs against Matt Stafford when he just drove right down the field through wherever and to whoever he wanted, kind of diced us up, but. Good for him for getting the interviews.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, before he joined the Panther squad, he was looked at as a heavy candidate for a head coach position at the time. But like I said, I agree with you. I think he's regressed since joining us and leaving Denver. But I guess somebody sees something in him. I mean, good for him. I mean, not everybody gets those opportunities. Even consideration of interviews for head coaching positions, especially for teams like the Steelers, which we know what kind of culture they've had over the past bit of years. It's been a long time since they got to the Super Bowl, but they've had winning seasons at least every other year and get to the playoffs every other year under Tomlin. So some big shoes to fill there, but we'll just have to see. Dan Morgan and Dave Canales, they've always gave him praise of his aggressive scheme. But I think the fans are divided on that personally. We all kind of know, like you said, that final play, well, possession of the game against the Rams. I mean, like a little over 2 minutes on the clock. They went straight through our defense like it was nothing. I mean, it's just times like that or moments like that under his leadership. I'm just like, I don't know if I would necessarily look at him for a head coaching position, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I personally do believe if he were to move on to another opportunity, this would be the time for Canales to put his guy in that defensive coordinator position because Ibarra was already there.
Yeah, I agree. And also, if Sean McDermott doesn't get a head coaching job, he was our defensive coordinator when we went to the Super Bowl in 2015. So I would imagine he gets another head coaching job just because I don't think he did that bad of a job with the Bills. I thought the Bills were a good team. Obviously, they couldn't get over the hump and, go to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl, but he's a heck of a good coach in my opinion, and he would, obviously the leader of that 2015 defense. So if he doesn't get another head coaching job and Avaro was to go somewhere else, I would really like Sean McDermott back. Um, I don't know if he would take it. The Panthers probably wouldn't be the top of his list of teams he wanted to go to, but that would really be a good hire for a defensive coordinator. And he's had really good defenses pretty much his entire coaching career for the most part.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think we are, overdue for a fresh start on defense. I think offense has not fully turned the page, but we see potential in them getting better. I mean, we see the growth, but defense, Derek Brown, he does his thing, but it's just moments like key moments like the end of the Rams game. I know we just talked about it, but in those moments, you cannot allow that to happen, especially not that easy. I mean, we should have did something. I mean, we've had better defensive splashes, but in that kind of moment, that was very unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think we could get more of the pass rush too. I mean, our pass rush was decent this year, but I think we could, under a potentially a different defensive coordinator, maybe we're just missing the pieces, but I think we could have a better pass rush, and be more aggressive on defense if we had a different coordinator.
Absolutely. Well, guess within the next bit of weeks, we'll see what occurs. And if Ibarra actually gets a head coaching position with two teams actually showing interest in him. So, well, guess it's time to go on to these sorry Buzz boys of ours. Currently, the score of this game against the Cleveland Cavaliers is 31-20. So,
Coming back a little bit.
a little bit. Another night of LaMelo coming off the bench, which is still interesting to me, but sound like that's the way they're kind of going with these back-to-back games. Not sure what Charles Lee is seeing there. Not sure what the situation of that is. Sounds like there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
It's his weird management of minutes because he needs to, manage his minutes correctly, or, he can't have him out there late in the fourth quarter in the crunch time because he's used all his minutes, which still doesn't make any sense to me. But it also doesn't make sense to me because within like the first 3 minutes of the game tonight, we were down. I mean, Cleveland was already on a run. Within 3 minutes, LaMelo was coming off the bench. So it blows my mind. I don't know. Like whenever I see it, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not an NBA coach. My basketball knowledge is really very average at best. Just for schemes and everything like that, as far as plays and things like that, and minutes and management. But it doesn't make sense to me that your best player on the team arguably would be coming off the bench. Um, just doesn't make sense. And I think I've heard a lot of commentators. I mean, Kendrick Perkins said the Hornets should be punished for tanking, which Kendrick Perkins is the king of insane takes. But honestly, to a point, he's not wrong. You know what I mean? And we're just getting dunked on in the media the past couple of weeks. I mean, Draymond and the Warriors were talking about the weird defensive game plan we had against the Warriors when we were going all out to stop Steph Curry and everybody else was wide open. Um, Steph talked about it. Draymond talked about it. It's just this team is laughable, honestly. And it's not to say we can come back tonight and maybe make the playoffs as a play-in, but the management of LaMelo's minutes and just the team overall is just very confusing to me. Do you have any insight to that?
Yeah, we're pretty much on the same page, honestly. It's like I said, it's laughable, but it's just like I mean, they're currently sitting at 16 and 27, 12th in the East, but I don't know. I mean, you hear all these rumors about LaMelo potentially being traded at the deadline or may not be traded at the deadline, but it may be discussed this summer. I think that all depend on what occurs the rest of the season. But sounds like Nipple and Brandon Miller are considered the untouchables because they're also looking at, or rumors are, players like Colin Sexton maybe getting traded for Trey Mann rumors because his minutes have become very limited, which I'm disappointed in because he was a very solid six man for us coming off the bench. Um, I mean, Bridges, you hear rumors about that, but it seems like Bridges is the one that brings a lot of the leading energy most nights with this team, in my opinion. He may not have a spectacular game, but it just seems like he's the one that's trying at least to have some type of winning culture. But as far as insight goes, we're in the same boat. I don't understand. I do believe Charles Lee and LaMelo are not on the same page at all, at all. I don't know what's going on with those guys. Like you said, it makes no sense to be taking LaMelo off the bench because years prior, seasons prior, LaMelo started and still was playing at the end of the game. So I think that says a lot on the way Charles Lee is playing LaMelo. Unless they're, getting blown out, then they'll take the starters out, which is common, but it makes no sense to me one bit. So we just have to see how the rest of it goes. I mean, you know, they they have good games. I mean, they put up a historic 150 points in a blowout win against the Utah Jazz, which
Yeah.
was wild. They have games like that, but then you get beat by the teams like the Raptors with I think that was a game winner, even though I know it was a tight game in overtime, but I just don't get it. It's the consistency that fluctuates so much, but that's just who these guys are, man. We talk about it all the time. It's on commercial now. I was going to look back to see what the score was, but like you said, I mean, LaMelo comes off the bench 3 minutes in because they're getting they're literally like 20 points down. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, when I
they
got up
showed.
to,
Oh,
sorry to cut you off, Cam, but whenever I got up
you're good.
to record the podcast, I mean, it was 19-4. So, I
Yeah,
mean, that pretty much says, and you know, we're climbing back. The score right now is 33-20 at the end of the first quarter. Um, and we could come back and win the game, you know. That's just it wouldn't be surprising, honestly, to me, just because it's the Hornets. It's like we start off down 19-4 and then we come back and do something crazy. It's just this team's so unpredictable, and with the minutes, it's just weird. And then on top of getting dunked on by the media with just different reports, you know, I see on social media from Hornets pages that, you know, different, whether it's NBA, you know, media or just ESPN, you know, different reporters talking about the Hornets. It's just always something, you know, negative or something really just like laughable. Um, but I thought the Steph Curry and after the Warriors game, the press conference, with all the Warriors players talking about the defensive scheme, I thought that was really interesting because pretty much everybody said it was very weird to do that kind of scheme, just, you know, bank everything on stopping Steph Curry and kind of leaving other guys open and giving other guys opportunities. Um, and they talked about it. Pretty much every Warrior player in postgame talked about it. Draymond talked about it. Steph talked about it. It's just weird, man. Just weird.
yeah. I mean, we would be really just rinsing and repeating talking about this team. It's just baffling when you beat good teams. I mean, we did beat the Thunder at one point. You beat the defending champs. Then you lose to teams like Indiana, who don't have Halliburton right now. Teams
Yep.
like that. I mean, it's just that's just an example, but I don't get it. But hopefully in due time something gets fixed. I don't know what the first move is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be parting ways with Charles Lee maybe this summer, if it's going to be a LaMelo Ball first, but we'll just have to see. But you saw how quick they threw him back out there tonight after they got blown out in the first bit of minutes and nobody was scoring anything. And I mean, it was embarrassing. Like I was looking at it before we hopped on and I was just shaking my head the whole time. So go Hornets. That's all I
Yeah,
can say.
that's all you can say. Hopefully, you know, as we wrap this podcast up, I will be watching the end of the game. I was excited to watch the game in the first place tonight because it's on ESPN. It's still the Ball brothers playing against each other. Of course, LaMelo cussed in the pregame interview on ESPN. I don't think he could have a media interview without saying a cuss word. I don't think it's just in his DNA. I would like to know how much money he's gotten fined from saying cuss words on live TV. Um, It'd be really interesting because I'm sure it's a lot of money at this point. But you got to love LaMelo's personality. I think you know, he's not a great leader, but I do love his personality. I think he's a funny guy. He just does funny stuff. His mannerisms are funny. Um,
You can't help but be a fan, even if you're not a
yeah,
Hornets fan.
yeah,
He brings any kind of attention to the Hornets. It's
yeah,
simply him.
yeah. I agree 100%. But hopefully we could wrap up tonight with a win against the Cavs. Our viewers will know the end of the score by the time they're seeing this. Um, which also, before we go, we need to do predictions for the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game. So who you got?
Personally, I'm gonna go Patriots. Drake May go Heels, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna go to underdog. I kind of want to see the Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't think the Seahawks are underdog. I mean, they dismantled the 49ers. I agree with both those picks. Those are my two picks. So if you're listening to this on Saturday night, fade us. Pick the Rams and the Broncos because we'll probably be wrong. But it's sports. It's sports in general. You never know. You know, I think the Patriots are gonna. My pick is the Patriots to win the Super Bowl, and I think the Seahawks are also gonna go to the Super Bowl. Seahawks defense is really good, man. Watching them against the Niners, I thought they were a really good defense, and it's gonna be a tough game for the Rams, especially going into Seattle and that hostile environment that they've always had. But That's all I got for tonight. Cam, what else you got?
No, I agree with you. I mean, if Bo Nix was playing, maybe it could be a little more of a toss-up, but since he unfortunately second last play of the game broke his ankle, I'm gonna give it to the Pats all day. If the Pats go, I think they'll win. I'll be a happy camper. Even though if the Seahawks go, I would be a little bitter to see Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl. That was our
Yeah.
previous quarterback. Knowing and seeing what that could have been, if things were lined up properly with our team, but neither here or there. I'm just looking forward to hopefully a good Super Bowl and matchups this weekend, division matchups, and hopefully we get the lineup we want.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully.
But we know it's scripted at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I say if we're me and Cam are both agreeing on the same picks, and you guys bet just fade our picks, because we're not experts. But Buzzpound, a little bit shorter of an episode today, but as always, we appreciate y'all joining us for season 2, episode 12. As always, you can follow us on both X and Instagram, and you can listen to our podcast on both Spotify and YouTube.
And as always, we are the Buzz Pound. Keep pounding and keep the high mentality.
Right! Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Buzz Pound. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and let us know what you thought of this episode. Until next time, this is the Buzz Pound.
Touchdown!